Okay, so today we're going to quickly go through the Google Gemini app, which is the AI assistant from Google. We're going to review it and see how it works on the an iPhone. If you're not familiar with what this is, it's basically an AI assistant that's developed by Google. So you might be used to Siri, which is not very good in my opinion, or if you use Google Assistant before, this is like a level up. So it's a lot smarter and it uses AI. But the app is basically you go into the App Store on Apple and you type in Google Gemini and you can install it as a normal app. So once installed, you can go ahead and open it up. It will obviously ask you to have some permissions. It will require you to log in with your Google account. So if you don't have one created, it's pretty simple and pretty straightforward. So once you've created the account, you can go ahead and log in, and then it will go through the different activities or what kind of data it's going to use, all the terms and conditions. So if you're happy with all that, you can go ahead and click use Gemini, and then you'll arrive on this page straight away. It looks pretty familiar if you used it before on Android. You have the basics, a chat box, ability to use audio, ability to take pictures, and a icon, which I'll talk about a bit later, which is probably my favorite feature of Gemini. And then we got the chat box up here, which kind of goes through any history if you have asked it anything before, and it kind of syncs across Google apps, right? So you can obviously ask something on your Android, you'll save here, or go onto your tablet or your PC, you'll save everything there, and then that's just your Google account. So for the setup part, this is mostly the basic setup you need. There's some additional ones you can do. Obviously, you can choose a different model if you want to use the latest one. Obviously, it's experimental, so there might be some issues that you might not be aware of. Also, you can go ahead and set up extensions. So if you want to allow it to use your Google Flights, your Google Hotels, Google Maps, and so on, other apps, which I always turn on because it's useful, then it will use those to do certain tasks that you ask of it. Apart from that, that's all the setup you need to do. And once this is it, this is ready to go. So text box, you can obviously ask it any kind of questions that you want. So you can ask it whether if you really want it to be simple, or ask about a scientific question or a math question, or anything to do with cars. Anything that comes to your mind, you can go ahead and ask. You can obviously just type that in with basic text. You also have the option to use audio. So if you want to speak to it instead, which I find a lot easier. So you can click on here and obviously it will ask for that, and you can ask it that question. What's the weather like in Liverpool? And then obviously it will give you an audio and a text. So that works basically similar to what I guess Google Assistant or Siri works as. But the things that I like about it, obviously now you can take pictures of stuff. So I have in my hand the Samsung Galaxy Bud. So if you take a picture of that and ask it what it is, just a simple question. So we can go ahead and attach that to it. So we can ask, what is this? And then it will give us a response. I'm hoping it will recognize it and tell us what it is. Obviously, it might struggle. No, it doesn't. So it says it's Samsung Galaxy Buds Pro as well. So it knows the model, not just the type of case, I guess. So that's really good. So this, again, a simple example feature, which I like, and I think is probably the best thing about Gemini, is this icon here. This is basically Gemini Live. So what that means is you can talk to Gemini and it'll respond in a live. You can always change my voice's settings later. All right, ready when you are. So in a live mode, right? So you can ask a question, it'll answer it straight away. You can ask an additional question directly. So if you can interrupt it, it works a lot better. So if you want to like brainstorming, or if you want to come up with a plan for a trip, or if you want to do any kind of thing where you want to go back and forth, this is probably the best. And I spend a lot of time just talking to it. Is it rather for my education, for my work, for my videos here? It kind of helps me. So let's just do an example, right? So let's ask it, can you plan a trip to Japan in 3 days? Sure, planning a whole Japan trip in just 3 days is a tight squeeze, but we can make the most of your time. To start, what kind of pace are you looking for? Would you prefer a more laid-back trip? Yeah, so here it's smart enough to ask you additional questions, so you can come up with something. So if you ask a question that has a lot of scope, right, so you can come up with a lot of different answers. It tries to narrow it down a bit, which I really like. I want it to be laid back, and I want it to be only for 2 days. All right, 2 days is definitely doable, especially if you want to keep things laid back. Tokyo is a great destination for that. You could spend your first day. I don't want to go to Tokyo. Okay, how about Kyoto instead? So see there, it was telling me something and I interrupted it to like change what it's telling me, change the subject. If it gets something wrong, and I can ask it to correct it. So that's really good. So you can have a conversation with it like a real person. So you don't have to like tap a button, wait for it to answer, then tap a button again. You just talk to it as naturally as you would with another person, and it works really well. And I haven't really had any kind of hiccups. It does remember what I've said before. So if you want to talk within context, right? So if you told it something before, and it will continue using that context as it goes through, you can ask it additional comments, additional details, and it will still remember what it was talking about. So I think it's really good. And I'm really happy that it's also available on Apple and not just on Google. I think it's definitely a lot better than Siri. So if you could in the future have it replace Siri in a way that you can maybe say, "Hey Siri," or um, activate it with a button or something, I would definitely prefer it over Siri unless they make some changes in the future. So that's everything. Let me know if I missed anything that's important.